Hello, everybody. Welcome to Discussing Tabletop for, of course. Oh my God, I didn't update the
docket
stream title.
Oh,
God,
not James.
You know, times is one of these days. Anyway, welcome to Discussing Tabletop. It's 18th, 2018. Everyone is actually having a really great day. Joining me, of course, is as usual Joe. Worm once again can't join us, unfortunately, for various reasons. Hopefully he'll come back into regular soon. We'll have to see. Anyway, we got James, who's joined us a couple of times before as a special guest here. Joining us for this one.
James, you're special.
I've been told that many times before.
My mommy used to tell me that.
Yep. So we. Let me. I'm just quickly updating stuff here. Apparently, just was
Out of date. Well, we've all had our things lately.
Yes. Yeah. All right. We have a pretty big today since we missed last. A lot of things happened. We're going to talk about Magic the Gathering, the spellslingers set, the D&D unearthed arcana, races of ravnica, Pathfinder dungeon war pawn, which is very interesting. Wraith the Oblivion has put out its anniversary to go their World of Darkness 20th anniversaries. Munchkin side quests. A actual Munchkin that seems really good and interesting. Space 9, City at the Earth, which is simply another version of Jewels of Burn they're bringing into Space 9. Heroes Crossing board game, which I'm pretty sure we mentioned last year in December when it was up on Kickstarter. Well, at least I mentioned it on Gather, and it's out now. We're playing the mayor running a town that sends on adventures. Star Wars Rise of the Resist, which is put Star Wars RPG in the Clone Wars, A Legend of the Five Rings, beginner's box, and we'll end up with a Wraith, which weird Twister meets Cthulhu slash I guess dexterity game. you know.
Tentacle.
So we're gonna start, of course, today with Magic the Spellslinger. The Spellslinger starter. So it's 260 card deck card, two start learning guides. Booklet with rules, a spin down, two spin downs, and they're only doing $15 for this, which is a pretty good price for something like this. Especially for 2 dice, or for 2 sets, 2 decks. Now, granted, the decks, from what I've seen, because they do put the list up online, they don't seem anything like super special. Like, one of them, the big rare, seems to be Shivan Dragon, which, I mean, Shivan Dragon's fine.
Yeah, Shivan Dragon's still cool.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not cool. It's just, it's like, in comparison to a lot of the other, like rares and stuff out there, it's not
and
like.
And then
Plaka.
Thank you.
I don't remember the set it came out with, but I remember it was good because it enters the battlefield, you gain 7 life. When it dies, you draw a card. And if you were like a black-green deck with that thing, where you could continually like resurrect it and kill it, a lot of life, a bunch of cards, pretty good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which actually I think it is a black-green deck because it is a black-green deck. Wow.
Yeah, makes me think back in the day when they had the what set was it? Portal.
Yeah.
That was all training set.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Someone was saying this is very Portal.
Yeah, they haven't done something like this for quite a while.
No, not at all. I mean, it is a good thing because, I mean, how long has it been since they've had an introduction that they've just been sort of like, we're fine. People will know what we're talking about, or like, people will know the rules, people will teach other people very easily. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
It
also makes me think back in the day, I wonder if they'll ever do it again, when they used to have incentives for people teaching Magic.
that's a rare thing that I think wouldn't probably come back because it's like there's already been debacles with their exclusive buy a box promos, where it's basically they've done now 2 where the card that's provided is one that's not normally in the set. The one with Dominaria, people were fine with because it was something that it was a legend. It fit. It was not like something super powerful. It fit within the flair of everything. But apparently, the one that came out with M19 was just something kind of powerful, and it was like, what? It's something like really good.
Okay, so actually, both decks have at least 2 rares, though.
Well, I'm sure they have a couple of rares.
There's Prodigious Growth, which is really nice. It's a +7/+7 enchantment. Enchanted creature gets +7/+7 and has trample.
Mm-hmm.
And then also Sarah's Guardian.
And Burning Sun Avatar is 1 too.
Okay. So you're getting a few rares. I mean, they're not like top shelf rares, but
yeah, that's the thing. It's like I think it's like each of them, and Gravewaker for the other one. So it's like each of them I think has like at least 3. It looks like I don't know.
But Sarah's Guardian's really good though because it's a 5/5 flyer that gives everything vigilance.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty powerful card.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, yeah, because there's also Verdant Sun's Avatar.
It is 5 in the 1 deck. I count in the green-black deck.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out how many, but I got to pick the
at
numbers.
least 3 in
1, 2, 3.
Burning Sun's Avatar, so that's 4.
And
Demanding Dragon, 5.
I only count 4 there. What's the 5th one in the red?
Shivan Dragon. The Sarah's Guardian, that's 2.
Yeah. The Burning Sun Avatar.
Burning Sun Avatar.
The Demanding Dragon.
Demanding Dragon, that's 4. Yeah, you're right.
Odd. But again, depending on the types of rares it is, they might just stack up that way. That
But then it also lists other 3 GRN cards. Oh, that's probably learning cards or something.
Probably.
Because there's also other 2 GRN cards in the other deck, so I don't know. I don't know what a GRN card is. No, green, maybe. Other 2 green card, and other 2. No, it wouldn't be green.
It's not green.
No.
Maybe it's like a sideboard or something, because that's 24 plus 24 is 48, 50. Yeah, those are 3 cards, which maybe in amongst them there's another rare, because there's another 2 in the other deck.
Right.
And that balances, and they balance out to 60 cards then, so it's got to be something. I don't know. But still, regardless, they're not bad decks, and $15 for something like this is probably not a bad idea. It's like a decent price, and they don't look like bad decks, and so it looks like very, very simple things for people to learn. Like, enough complexity without going overboard, I think, is the plan of it. It seems like.
Yeah. And it looks like some updated artwork too, like the I always want to call you Lawnmower because we always joked about that. Lattimore elves. That's a new picture that I haven't seen at least before.
It's the M19 picture because they put them back in M19 too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, though that might have also been the one in Dominaria. I can't remember because I'm forgetful.
Okay.
And I should know these things, but I know enough.
The lands have a cool look to them, too.
Yeah. Oh well,
Now the lands also have a different symbol too. That's interesting.
That might be custom for this set then. That they all might have originally have that symbol. They just don't show it right now on all the others because they don't have those finalized as much.
Right.
Maybe.
And what's this starburst symbol like on the Sky Terror?
Which
set is that?
That would be one of the Oh my god, Ixalan sets.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the first or the second one.
I'm not up on my symbols anymore.
Yes, because it's a dinosaur anyway.
Yeah, true.
And Ixalan's like the only set that has dinosaurs, pretty much. Pretty much.
Dinosaur.
There have been a few others occasionally, but not nearly as many as the two Ixalan sets brought in. They were like, here, have dinosaurs.
Everybody loves the dinosaur. Everybody do the dinosaur.
Uh-huh. So.
Yeah.
No. So I mean, it's an interesting thing. It's going to be out in October, and I mean, will this mean we'll have more starter sets though? I'm curious as if this will be a opportunity to bring forth more of them, or if it's just an experiment to see if that kind of product is still helpful. Because if we think about it, the core sets were never quite a starter set. Because we had the core sets in Portal at the same time, and Portal was truly a starter set. Can we see that again? I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's cool that they're doing some teaching stuff again.
Yeah, I'll agree. Definitely cool that they're doing some teaching stuff.
And they're making it very affordable.
That is also a very good thing. That's one of those things that you hope, but they don't always do that.
Yeah. Well, there's some decent cards in there. I wouldn't mind picking it up just for the cards itself and be like, okay.
Yep. Well, speaking of Magic, and also then speaking of D&D, why don't we move on to our next topic? Unless you have something to say, James, on this one. I know you're not as big on the Magics.
Yeah, but I consider myself to be a new player, and it seems like a good opportunity for me to like learn the game.
That's true. So. And I think there's a couple other people I know that, like, when you try to teach them the game, it's not always easy, you know? I think that's one of those challenges of teaching the game, because it's like there's so many rules and so much complication. Where the heck do you start from? While having something like this that gives us a working point can be very helpful. So, but yes, speaking of Magic, with the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica coming out this month was this the second Unearthed Arcana or the first one of this month? I can't remember. I don't remember if the Races of Eberron was last month or this one. Because if it was last month,
it might have been. I think it was the end of last month. We talked about that the last stream.
Yeah, I think it was
2 weeks ago.
I think it was like right at the end of last month that one came out, or beginning of this month. So it was like sort of an Unearthed Arcana in July. But for D&D, there's an Unearthed Arcana that's the Races of Ravnica.
You know what? That might have been. I'm not sure what day they put it out, because our last stream was on the 4th.
Yes.
So that might have been the very beginning of this month, or it might have been the very end.
They usually put them out on Tuesdays. Usually Unearthed Arcanas are Tuesdays.
Okay, so if it was a Tuesday, it would have been the 31st of last month.
So,
Wow.
They waited a little while. They waited until they announced the Eberron PDF, because it's not a physical book.
Yes.
But anyway, so they have Races of Ravnica, this Unearthed Arcana, which they're introducing 4 races which are in there. Luxodons, the Elephant People, Simic Hybrids, which I'm not quite sure a lot about, Videlkins, which are like these blue humanoids, and Vidashina, which are a type of lizard folk. So I mean, like, the Elephant People are kind of cool, the Luxodons.
Simic Hybrids are very odd. They're animals that have been transformed into, like, humans, elves, and dead Dalkin.
Vidalkin are the blue humanoids I was taking of. So
okay.
There for a second. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're animals that have been turned into people by weird research and magically transferring the traits of magically transferring the various traits of animals into humans. So, okay, so they're basically kind of like animal people.
Yeah. Luxodons are cool because they have a natural armor. I mean, that's always cool. and a powerful build. So I think they're pretty simple. Your elephant folk, you know, a very simple creature, you know.
They also lived to 450 years old.
That's just, you know. You're considered young and yes, they are well, and they're considered young until they're 60. That's wonderful. But yeah, no, the hybrids seem weird. Dark vision. Animal enhancements. Your body has been altered to incorporate certain animal characters. You choose one animal enhancement now and a second at 5th level. First level options, you can Manta Glide, which is a glide.
Ray-like wings slow your fall and allow you to glide when you fall. You aren't incapacitated, but are subject up to 100 feet fall from when calculating falling damage. And you can move up to 2 feet horizontally for every 1 foot you descend.
Yeah, nimble climber and underwater adaptation. Those are very interesting. Like,
grappling appendages.
Well, that's the 5th level one.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, where you also get car pace, where you get some extra AC, and or you could spit acid. These are very weird. I mean, it's an interesting idea, but yeah, it's combining animals with other humanoids to give these hybrid creations. Yeah.
But I love the description of grappling appendages. You have 2 special appendages growing alongside your arms.
Okay, yeah.
Choose whether they're both claws or tentacles.
Pleasant. I mean, it's an interesting thing because it's like one of those groups from Ravnica I would not have thought of putting together a actual race for playing in it as D&D, but it's like, okay, that makes sense that it's there.
Yeah.
Of course, we have the Vidalcan, which I'm pretty sure we might have seen them in one of the Plane Shift books before. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, they have their tireless precision. They get proficiency in a skill of your choice, and proficiency in one tool of your choice. And whenever they make an ability check of the chosen skill, roll d4 and add the number to its check. So that's actually really cool. And then
they only speak common.
I know. And then they have advantage on charisma, wisdom, and intelligence saves. Which, I mean, that sounds like a lot, but I think it's... I don't know if it's specifically Sverfnibelin or if it's gnomes also. They get those advantages for spells plus some other stuff. So they get that more powerful, but they don't get some of the other stuff. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at the elephant people, they also have bravery, which are, have advantage on saving throws of being frightened.
That's true. And the Vishino kind of cool because they're like lizard folk people with a bite and a lashing tail, and proficiency in acrobatics or stealth. Nice. I always like something that gives proficiency to a skill. There's something about that because skill proficiencies in 5th edition I feel are very powerful in a way. Getting that bonus is a lot.
Well, especially in 5th edition when you don't get to really pick your skills.
Yeah.
And it's hard to gain more stuff with skills. That's like why in the Thursday game, I really like taking the scout thing because it gave me proficiency with both. Oh my god, nature and survival.
Took you a minute to figure it, but yeah.
I couldn't remember. Nature and survival, which is freaking 2 more skills. That's pretty powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rogue already gets some cool stuff with skills.
Yeah, I think all these races are pretty interesting. I feel like, yes. 3 of them kind of don't... I mean, I feel like not the Simic ones, the other 3 are fine races. They feel like they fit as important ones in the entire Ravnica setup, but I feel like they don't have that kind of standout-ish, the Simic one, as a more unique one. I feel like it's sort of like because of the setting and all the different races that are supposed to be in the setting. When I say like the other 3, the Viashinos, the Videlkins, the Luxodon, they fit very well side by side with humans and elves and all those that are in Ravnica.
And there's already right, and in D&D there's already similar like things so it's not like that far out of the normal realm. Like,
yes,
Luxodon's like a half giant almost.
Yes, or
I
think there are rules for actual lizard folk to play in.
Yeah, I was gonna say Vashino or lizard folk.
And the Videlkin, they're just interesting.
A modified. They're I guess specialty human.
Sort of. I mean, again, like if we're really talking about them, they are their own race. But you know, like when you just compare them, they're another basic humanoid almost. Just blue. Yeah. Abadi. I was gonna say it for a second.
And they're more dispassionate.
Mm-hmm. I think it's that they like lack a level of emotion and instead have their entire thought pattern, the way they do things instead.
Now, the one thing I would say would be with the Simic hybrid, that would be interesting to play with doing. Oh my god, my brain is totally dead today. Why can't I think of the class? Basic class.
Druid, Ranger?
Druid, thank you. I'd be interested with doing a shape-shifting druid.
That's true. I think
because I'm assuming your like animal adaptations would also carry over even into the.
I'm not sure about that one. That's a question that I don't know if they actually answer that, because it's the same as some of your things don't carry over when you go into it from your natural form anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm unsure what would.
It'd be interesting to see a direwolf with tentacles.
I don't know if it would happen. I don't think it might not. You might not just have that. I think if we go under wild shape, which I would have to reference here, you don't have the ability to use a lot of those things. You're basically using a stat block of what you become. But still. I think it might specifically say like certain like racial things you can't.
Well, even if you don't, it's still interesting because it's like, oh well, you still have some animal qualities when you're not in an animal shape. What's going on there? Definitely. It'd be an interesting added to a character like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you could even not know that you're this simic creature and think that something happened from transforming so often.
It says specifically that the physical form could use. So something like the Manta Glide, where you wouldn't have ray-like wings, you couldn't use it. But the underwater adaptation, maybe, or the nimble climber, maybe. If you're physically able to do it, is the thing.
Yeah. I'm a nimble climbing wolf.
Like the car pace might be better, or
because... car pace would be great because just +1 bonus to AC when you're not wearing heavy armor. Well, I'm a direwolf without wearing armor.
Yeah. You just have like a thicker hide or something. If you can explain certain ones there, I definitely could see using them. But like things again, like the glide. No, and the unfortunate thing is, like, most of the time, if you're going to transcend something that has, like, wing-like appendages,
it most likely already has some kind of flying or gliding.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, it doesn't really help a lot for transforming that way. But no, I'm sure that
you could transform into a flying squirrel.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of interesting class and race combinations that can be built with this. It's a very interesting unearthed arcana.
Yeah.
Do you have much chance to poke around at the unearthed arcana stuff, James?
I've focused on the magic stuff because I wasn't familiar with that.
I recognize that. I recognize that's a fun one to check out.
But from what you guys are saying, it seems like it adds a lot to the overall experience.
Yeah,
and
it's
like
just good.
some of my issues have always been like it kind of the new edition kind of prohibits, for lack of a better word, choices, and so anything that gives you more choices is always going to be a good thing.
I think that's one of those things that Pathfinder, though it did it to an extreme, won a lot of people over because of the way they did choices. Like, they took the insanity of choices from 3rd edition and improved upon it, but also I think they were relatively smart in certain ways that there are certain things that they didn't do to an extreme. Like 3rd edition 3.5 by the end had a lot of base classes, a lot of them. Pathfinder did a bunch of base classes, and then they did some interesting experiments with what they called the hybrid classes, and they called it a day, and I haven't really seen any more classes since then. You know, they kept themselves in check, only putting out a couple here and there, you know, that were unique to interesting mechanics they were building.
Now, I will say, yes, 5th edition, you might not have as much choice, but it's a lot more streamlined, and the rules are much more simple because of it.
That's
It's
true.
a trade-off. I think that's why 5th edition makes sense as a really good introductory system for people who are newer to role-playing.
I would agree on that one, and this definitely, but I think it's when we look at it, they are moving into that area where they have a lot more choices. It's just a slower process than let's say it would be for Pathfinder or anything or something.
Well, yeah, they're not. They didn't throw everything right out at once. They're sprinkling it in. I think they learned from like 3.5. As much as I love 3.5, it was the edition I played the most probably.
Yeah.
That throwing everything out at once can be a bit overwhelming in a game.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. You can get to that point in time where it's just insane, and
and you get some gamers who kind of like, ooh, I'm going to pick all these really obscure things.
I mean,
because I can.
You can do that in Pathfinder still, but it's like really hard to, not impossible, and like some of the really obscure things are just stupid to play.
Right, but I'm saying you can't do that really
out.
as much in 5th edition.
Yeah, it's true. I agree. Like, I still do want to play the, what's it called? The, the combination of the math feat for Pathfinder.
Oh God,
with the custom magic and the like the gun wizard or something that basically casts spells through guns, because I thought that was an interesting combination of things. You use high level math and various formulas through your gun to shoot people with spells that you're developing in weird ways. It would be awful, but it would be wonderful awful, I'm pretty sure.
I think you might that is like breaking a DM's mind.
It's probably not going to work very well, but yes, it would be a pain to like the soul of anybody that would be running it. I know that for a fact. It's one of those things. It's like, I recognize this would be awful for a poor DM. It still seems interesting.
So is it something you're waiting to try to do if Chad ever runs the game again?
Probably not. I probably want to do it something in a little, because if he was going to do something, he'd do it long term. I probably want to do it something short.
I'm just picking on
I
you.
So yes, but the races of Ravnica are out if you want to get them checked out. See if any of them are useful in your games, and you know, enjoy a time with them. All right, why don't we, of course, move on, because we do have a bunch more topics that we cover. Pathfinder, Dungeon Decor Pawn Box. Let me bring this up here. So, this is an interesting one, because it's not monsters. It's a pawn box, but it's for junk you'd throw into your dungeons, like cages, campfires, cauldrons, fog, flames, fire pits.
A lily pad.
Paintings, statues,
We're
rowboats.
gonna back up booby pads?
Yes,
No.
there is one under 2x2 pawns. There's a lily pad.
Oh, it's like
There's
a
only
giant
one.
lily pad. Oh, it's
Yeah.
like a giant lily pad that maybe you can
Oh.
step on or something.
Or a
Yeah.
fairy ring.
Oh, okay. I was wondering what you were talking about, the lily pad, and I'm like, what? Lily pad?
Yeah, there's a lily pad. There's
Pad.
also a couch and a coffin.
Well, I mean, the couch and the coffin, they make sense. The statements that you say sometimes that you're like, why would I say this ever?
Because I'm strange. I try to pick out weird things.
No, I mean, like, but I was just saying it's the average role player, kind of like, you know,
Oh, yeah.
going through that things. Ballista, beds, all this kind of stuff.
Dead bodies.
Yeah. It's 100 pawns, full color images that are on a sturdy card stock that you're supposed to do with your fantasy. And this is actually, like, really, I think, very good. Because this is one of those things that makes a big difference. You can customize decorations in a lot of those dungeon tile kind of things that you're building a lot more than you could before. It's, as someone that's tried to put it like decor in a certain way, sometimes you can do it all right. Other times it just is really, you're stretching with what you have, you know?
Yeah.
And 100 extra pawns is kind of awesome. And it's a really good collection of stuff. I'm surprised they hadn't done it before, though, is also the thing. I feel like, wouldn't this be something that would be more likely to have come out in the past anyway?
Yeah, like early on.
Yeah. And we hadn't seen it up really till now. So, alright.
Well, yeah, it seems like a good thing, like there's more customization, but to be honest, whenever I play, I don't really use a board anymore for any sort of, like, I'll just imagine it. It's,
Yeah. It's
and then
there
there's,
in the
like,
mind.
other times that it's like, they come up with, like, a laminated piece of graph paper, and we just draw on that, and it's like, oh, we have your laminated right here.
Yeah. I feel it's rare that you really need this level of, like, maps and stuff. At least for the gaming groups that I'm kind of in. And
I think it depends on, you know, the GM and how intricate they want to be and how much they want to spend.
yeah. Like, if you're getting a lot of, like, the map collections that are part of, like, some of the adventure paths and stuff, then maybe you want some stuff like this. Or, you know, if you're going very, like, build your own dungeon heavy and it makes sense to, like, make maps. People like maps. They do. I understand when people don't use them pretty much at all also, but, like, I do not use them as much as I probably should sometimes. And then other times it just isn't needed. But
Yeah. But it can help when you're trying to figure out, like, what's around and everything, instead of having to okay, hey, what's in this corner here? If you could, you know, it can save a little on game time.
yeah, how about when I was attempting to build every map in Carrion Crown for a while? I was doing all kinds of weird techniques in order to build those maps. Some were much more successful than others, that is for sure. And it wasn't always easy to put them together. Something like this would have helped a lot gone a long way, at least to make things seem good, like a little bit more natural.
Right.
But unfortunately, it's been a lot of years since then, and they didn't have it back then for Pathfinder. I think that was before they really did the pawn boxes for bestiaries, which have also been a great thing, especially if you have to put together a map and you want to actually use something appropriate, because they're much cheaper than a billion tons of miniatures, as someone that has bought a billion tons of miniatures before.
Yeah.
And then when you're looking for a correct creature, you have to like, well, I don't have that. I can have this, which is similar, because they can't do everything. But I guess with the pawn boxes for the bestiaries, they can sort of do anything. So, but no, I think this is a very good thing. I liked if they did more. That's definitely true. I don't know if I would get them because, again, I don't have an opportunity to do a lot of IRL Pathfinder games lately that would need these, even if I'm doing them.
Yeah.
So.
And even so, we do so much more online anymore than anything else. So it's like, unless you can import them easily.
The only thing I could think of is they might like provide them as part of like something on Roll20. You could get like a version of stuff that you could put together,
right.
You know.
And then it might be useful because then it's like, oh, okay, this is something I can use online.
Because like, and the thing about this one, I'm going to say something about this one. When they have PDFs of the pawn collections, that is just weird. Are you putting out like really cheap versions of these for yourself? Really? Like, that's the only reason to get the PDF is that you print out poor quality paper versions. They shouldn't charge only $7 less. It should be a lot less because it would be awful in comparison.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you're buying the book, you're limited by how many you're getting. Where when you're buying the PDF, you can print out an unlimited amount of them.
That is a truth that does make sense to a degree. That you can now print out an awful, a billion awful cages that may or may not be in color because it depends on how much color ink you want to actually spend on this thing.
Yeah, but also if it's like, hey, you have a bunch of DMs who get together and go, hey, well, I'll split it. I'm buying the PDF and
I've heard
makes
this
it dirt cheap for
talked
everyone.
about before, but very few people ever do anything like that.
Oh, I agree. I'm playing devil's advocate of what they might be thinking.
Yeah. I mean, it's like an extreme case that they're planning for.
Because, right, but the thing is, if you make it dirt cheap, then you're almost enticing people to do that instead of buying the main product.
Yeah, the product's really nice is the problem. So it's like the difference between nice and crappy.
Yeah, but some people, they're like, well, at least it's something and I don't have to create it.
Yeah, maybe.
That's my thought of it is, that's probably why they're doing it is just to try to say, hey, it's only a $7 difference. Maybe you should just spring for the nice ones.
Yeah, very true.
Instead of buying the PDF. They're probably placating people by going, well, here, we'll make a PDF, so if you want it, you can have it. But we're really trying to focus in on selling the actual product, and that's that. Although on the PDF, they are probably making a crap ton more money.
Yes. Yeah. With the PDF, they're probably making a lot more.
Because then they don't have all the overhead costs.
Mm-hmm.
Of at least the printing side of things. They still have to pay people to design and everything else, but...
Yeah. Okay. Why don't we move on, though, because we do have a bunch of topics still to cover.
Yes.
Wraith the Oblivion. So the 20th anniversary has come out for Wraith. For those of you a little less unaware, Wraith of the Oblivion is one of the World of Darkness, well, games. The common ones are, of course, Vampire the Masquerade, Mage the Ascension, and Werewolf the Apocalypse. And Onyx Path has been putting out the 20th anniversary of a lot of them, and Wraith was up on Kickstarter a while ago. I think Changeling was up on Kickstarter, we talked about it, and Changeling should be coming out relatively soon, but the Wraith one has come out, which is... Wraith I always thought was weird because you're a ghost. You don't, like, have a physical body. You possess people and stuff like that. Or possess corpses and things. And I guess they've been spacing out the releases to keep them with actually the 20th anniversary of each of these for when they originally came out. Like, Vampire, I think, came out first. Mage and Werewolf were next, and they're putting out Changeling and Wraith now. We might see a Hunter. That'd be cool. Hunter 20th anniversary. And I think the other ones are Mummy and Demon, I know off the top of my head.
Yeah. This is one of the ones I am not really familiar with because I've only played the big three.
I have the book of this one of the original books, and I've read through it partially, and it's a little weird. I never really got all of how Wraith works. It's like there's certain systems that, unless you really read up on them in any of the big three, that you really don't get. This is another level of complexity that you would have to, like, dive into. Like the spirit realm when it comes to werewolves, kind of something like that, which is a little bit of a conundrum and confusing in of itself, you know, or exploring the spirit realm as a mage or something. Anytime they bring in the spirit realm, it really does add a level of weirdness. So, but hey, guess what? Now you can play something that lives in the spirit realm. Confusion. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy that it's out because it is cool that way, that it is something that, it's one of those interesting games in the entire series of ones that they did. But again, it's just, I guess I just like you, I'm just not as familiar.
I mean, I would try it. I've always been interested in, like, some of the odd ones that they've done. So, it's it's something I wouldn't mind trying. It's just,
I get that.
You don't see a lot of people who run those games. So,
that's true.
Most people focus on Vampire, Werewolf, and Mage.
Yeah.
Those have always been, like, the top three of, hey, you want to play something in the World of Darkness, those are the ones you normally go to.
And even when you hear about ones playing a little more unusual, it's usually Changeling or Hunter.
Right.
I've never heard of anybody playing Mummy. I've heard of one person playing Demon the Fallen. And I think I've heard of one story partially, because I didn't get the full story, of someone playing Wraith. So it's like, yes, I always say, Mummy's even below there. But from what I know, Mummies are easier to play. So it has a little less confusion. I don't know. It's an interesting one.
Changeling always bent my mind a bit.
That's the thing is,
when I've heard of it. Yeah, when I've heard people talking about it, it's just like, you're in two worlds, and
of all the extra ones, extra, like, systems that were out there, I think Hunter was the easiest out of all of them. And then they had a whole bunch of other ones that kind of were out there also then, too. So.
Right.
Wraith has always been one that, yeah, I think I would like to try a little bit more myself, and I haven't had a good chance to. So. There's a couple more that I know exist that, for the life of me, I'm not going to remember anything about them. So, I know they did quite a bunch of them. So, why don't, though, we move on a little bit, though, and continue our thing. I just wanted to mention Wraith, unless either of you have anything to really talk about with Wraith.
No,
Nope.
that was it for me.
Yeah, Wraith is an unusual one. When I was originally cutting the docket, I was really hoping that Worm would be here, because I think he knows a little bit more about these things, but still. Let's talk about Steve Jackson Games and the release that they've had, which I think is actually a really good release for once. Munchkin side quests. So, if you're from, we've talked about Munchkin on the show before. I've talked about my love-hate relationship with everything that Steve Jackson Games does, because of Steve Jackson Games and everything that they do. They definitely know how to get your goat. Sure, that's what I'm saying it. Get you upset about the various things that they do, often. Sometimes they do great ideas, and you're like, oh, that's awesome! Good for you! I love to see that. And then they have things like Munchkin Warhammer 40k, where you're like, does this need to be something? Does it?
Right.
Not really, probably not. But this time we have Munchkin Quests, which is something I think is actually decent. So it's only a 30-card expansion that can be added to any Munchkin game, which is an important part of it. It's made to go with any Munchkin gun. It's using an artist who is working on the Magical Mess and the collectible card game. And you get secret in-game goals that you can complete for cash rewards and maybe extra ways to win the game. And I think this is like an actual expansion to Munchkin. Munchkin, though it's had its variations, it's pretty much the same thing. The only thing,
basically just like a reskin of the original Munchkin suited to different themes like Pathfinder Munchkin or Pathfinder 40k. This one actually gives you like new goals, new objectives, new ways to play the game instead of just always I'm gonna play this card now.
Yeah. And also, when the player has completed 3 different quests, the next monster they fight for victory in the entire game, no matter what level. So you automatically win your next fight after you defeated 3 quests.
And I guess some quests might give you some pretty big rewards that might get you closer to winning anyway. You might get one quest that might get you something that they're like, oh, I'm very close to winning, period. You know?
Right.
And I think that's one of those things. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Oh, whoops. Hitting buttons.
Yeah, but there are a lot of different expansions, and if I'm reading it correctly, each one gives you a new thing to do. And so I think it'll probably be pretty interesting. I'm probably not going to buy many of them, if any of them.
I think that's what they might they might put out more of these kind of expansions, which
that's awesome, because anything that expands rules is going to be more interesting at this point, because Munchkin's been out for so long.
Yeah, and again, granted, we might get a bunch of these kind of side quest things, so you get a lot more side quest variety, but that feels a lot better now, that if they milk this for like 4 or 5 things, I'll still be accepting of it, you know? Then you have a lot, maybe you could have, like, themed quests for certain ones might not be a bad idea, too. You have your general ones, maybe a themed one, you know, that it adds feeling to those. I don't know if they'll actually do that, you know? So at least the core ones, like the ones that they had a bunch of expansions for, you know, like Star Quests, or, Munchkin Fu Quests or something. Though no one remembers that one because it came out, like, ages ago, and no one remembers a lot of the core ones because they've such crazy crap nowadays.
Right.
Ugh. I am just so oftentimes sad with the products I see for Munchkin, and this is one that I actually like. And I can hope for this is a good direction for it, but
One of the example quests that I'm seeing on Board Game Geek is overpowered.
Mhm.
Have 3 or more powers in play simultaneously. If you are in a game without powers, reveal this and discard and draw a new side quest. And the reward is look through the door discards and choose 1 card to put in your hand.
yeah. No, that's very good. That's definitely a very a one that's got some decent uses out of it. I think that's one of those things is that the side quests add something different to the game that just combining a bunch of Munchkins never really did, and that's good. So I'm glad they got something decent. Steve Jackson games. Good on you, and it's only supposed to be $10. I mean, that's still 30 cards for $10. It's still not the best price, but if they're like these larger cards, and they're also an actual expansion to the game, it makes that price better.
Yeah.
You know, an actual expansion to the rules. I haven't gotten a Munchkin in a couple of years because it's just been so like stagnant, and they've just such weird crap.
I got two new ones because when we went to the convention last year,
Yeah.
I won the one thing, so I got.
Stop bragging.
Yes.
I'm just saying, I got two. I got 2 of the new ones, which was Shakespeare and
Steampunk.
the other one.
Steampunk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't bought one in a very long time, but
Yeah, I don't remember the last one I bought. There was whole lists of them that I know I never got, and by now I just don't think I could dive back into it to like complete.
right, you were keeping up with like every release for the longest time, and then it's just they've released too much stuff to be able to do that.
Yeah, when they started increasing the amount that they could actually get per year, it became ridiculous, and like they got to a point in time where I'm like, I can't keep up with these expansions and stuff, and the mini expansions were a death knell too, because those were not easy to find ever. So a lot of them just were like you could not find them. They were interesting, some of them were, but and I was never in a position to order it from there at that point in time, to order it from their site.
Right.
Like now I probably could, but I don't care at this point in time. But Munchkin Quest, it's out now. If you want something that's going to improve your Munchkin games a lot, I would highly recommend it. It seems awesome. And $10 for a big improvement on Munchkin is not really a bad price, I think. I think it's pretty good.
No, not at all.
No. So. Alright, let's move on to Space 1889, because I want to talk about this one, because I feel like what they're doing with this one is effectively making themselves everything like, what best way to describe this? Everything like Jules Verne kind of thing. Because they have like their kind of space travel, and now they have City at the Center of the Earth for an adventure. Are they really just trying to like go like all the like H.G. Wells, Jules Verne, and like just put stuff together from like those completely and utterly?
Maybe.
I mean, it's not a bad source material, but it also is like, it also makes me think like a little questiony kind of thing, you know?
Right.
You know, I've just been wondering if that's the best route to take. I mean, it's the route that I feel like people are going to know the most in a way. People will be recognized, you know, like, if you do something like Journey to the Center of the Earth with an adventure. But couldn't you do something else that's a little more, like, original with this thing? I don't know.
I mean, you could, but at the same time, hitting some of the tropes isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
You're gonna want people. There's gonna be people who want to do the basic. Hey, this is a, you know, yeah, we are doing this kind of theme. Let's do some of the classic stories on it.
And they do basically say, like, the story they're trying to tell is influenced by not only Journey to the Center of the Earth, but a couple other ones, like Edgar Rice Burroughs' Particular novels. I'm not sure about them. I don't know much about those. Because Edgar Rice Burroughs, he did Tarzan.
I am not sure. I could look it up.
If this is like one of those ones that I'm like pretty sure we should know. And yes, Tarzan.
Yeah.
Oh, he also did John Carter of Mars.
Okay.
And a fictional Earth landmass known as Particular.
Well, especially with John Carter of Mars, that kind of plays into this.
Okay. Wow. Dang, he was doing books from 1914 to 1963. That actually is a little later than I thought it was, because the Particular Scissors, that's the entire thing. I thought he would have long since, like, died by then. I kind of feel bad for saying that, but like I always felt like his time period was way earlier.
Right.
Oh, wow. Okay. So yeah, and the last, because the last Tarzan, it's hard to say, because the last time they did one for him, it was a partial story that Burroughs never finished that they put out in '95, but someone else went in and completed it.
Yeah, he died in 1950.
Oh, then why is the last Particular book out in '63?
Maybe he had written them, and it's maybe his family released it.
Oh, yeah, it's posthumous books that were never published, and that was
that makes sense because I'm looking. I'm like, it says he died March 19th, 1950.
Okay.
Because he was born in 1875.
God. Okay, but so we're getting sidetracked by Edgar Rice Burroughs. So he did something, center of the earthy too. Learning about Edgar Rice Burroughs that we didn't know. I really should have remembered that he did Tarzan. Whatever. Our one friend would have been angry with me about that one.
Yes.
Yeah. So, apparently, you can be of any nationality, because I forgot that Space 1889 nationality is an important thing, but your journey is set in the German Empire, as you burrow down into the center of the Earth for adventure. Bring your top hats and spectacles, and possibly goggles, and your large triangular weights, which you can carry with you. I'm not good at the 1800s, okay? Sorry.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Space-based 1800s. I say really stupid things about them. But I'm sorry, this isn't space-based. This is gigantic drill to the center of the Earth-based.
Correct.
Trying to find the city at the center of the Earth. Oh, God. No, this is like... It's interesting. Definitely. And, I guess that when you're taking the, like, Hollow Earth idea and doing something, and it is a Hollow Earth trope that is definitely more Victorian to have.
Yeah.
It does fit. That's the thing, is it does fit quite well, and I can't argue with that. It's just that I was hoping for some other stuff, too. Like, I feel like maybe I was kind of spoiled by, like, reading about the other adventures that they had, because they seemed a lot less tropey.
Mm-hmm.
And now that they have... I guess the one of them could have been, like, around the world kind of thing, like a journey one. And then the Paris heist one, or kidnapping one, and then this one. maybe they are still having that influence. It's just maybe I'm not seeing it as much until now.
Right.
Hard to say. But Space 1889 is one of those ones that we will probably have to test out when we get some quick start adventures in. Definitely one that we're going to have to check out. So.
Agree.
Cool. Let's continue, though, because we have unless, James, you've got anything else to say about it?
Nope.
Cool. All right. Let's talk about Heroes Crossing, because Heroes Crossing, I really recall talking about it. I'm pretty sure we did. Do you remember it all, Joe?
I don't. Actually,
Okay.
no. Do you want? I vaguely do remember. I do vaguely remember looking at it again. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of those things. Is like when you're. It's an interesting one that you're building your own town. You choose shops, production centers, where you manage supply lines and resources from place to place, fend off sneaky saboteurs, construct a bustling metropolis that anyone wants to visit. And it's really supposed to be more for, I guess, adventurers to visit, but still. I feel like I'm glad like they were successful Kickstarter, great, and they've actually got the product out, and yeah. I don't know if they were on their time frame or not, but it's kind of awesome that they did get it out, and it's one that and I think it's one that we did talk about before. You know, it seems so familiar. I'm sure I talked about it, but
I'm pretty sure one of us mentioned it.
I should have checked that up, but it's sometimes hard to reference all of my many discussing tabletops that we've had. Yep. It does have a little bit of pixel art style that reminds me a little bit of Boss Monster too, though, if you see some things, like some of the cards and stuff that they have.
Yeah.
Which is kind of an interesting thing, too. Oh, interesting. So it's supposed to be that as you play, things move from 8-bit to 16-bit to 32-bit in appearances. To kind of like not only mimic like that the evolution of RPGs, but to mimic like, you know, the advancement of your town. So that's kind of an interesting one.
Yeah.
I can see the difference between the different heroes. So they have like the 8-bit heroes, for some of the pictures that they're showing.
Yeah, you could see it's like the little. It's not like if you look at the 8-bit and the 32-bit, you definitely can see the difference. It's hard to see the gradual difference.
Yes. $50 for the game. It is out. I think it's really cool. It's an interesting concept. I like these turning the fantasy hero concept upside down kind of things, because we do get those occasionally, but we don't get a lot of them. And running a town where heroes will go to get stuff is definitely quite a different one from the ones that we've encountered before. So I'm kind of happy about that, because that's kind of cool. And I think back in the day I expressed my good interest in it and how it was interesting, and I liked it a lot. And now we finally get to see it out. So I pretty much just wanted to give a shout out to, hey, cool, they came out. They were successful. They've got everything out there. Great.
Yep, it looks cool.
Yep. All right, let's continue though with what our topics are, because we can try to get a couple more in. I might push a few off till next week, but we'll have a few more.
Well, I haven't had a chance to do Kickstarter, so if we need to eliminate that this week.
Yeah, maybe we can. I had one I looked at, so I might just do that one. James, unless you had one, I don't know if you did or not.
I didn't find anything interesting.
Okay, so maybe we'll just push that one out of the way, and I'll just do one for it. So, I did see a couple of things here that were interesting. I wanted to mention. What are we doing? Star Wars: Rise of the Separatists. That's the one I wanted to talk about. So I think this was an interesting one to talk about, because this is not out yet. They've announced it, but for all the material that they've put out for their Star Wars RPG, it's a new time period. And it's the Clone Wars time period. So it's a very different time period in the Star Wars universe, which they've done material for now. They had the Clone Wars TV series. I think they've had some books and stuff that are canon up until there. Like Rogue One technically would not be in this time period because it would be into the Clone Wars.
No, but the prequels would be.
Yeah, it's the prequels. And everything prequel related. Hi, Damien. Meow.
I'm gonna play Jar Jar.
God. You play Jar Jar? Ow, ow. Claws, ow.
You mean the Secret Sith Lord?
Yes, the Secret Sith Lord. I was trying to get the image of this together for people, and it's just not getting together. Let's see if I can get that. No, I want the view image.
Well, have you guys ever played the Star Wars role-playing game?
I actually haven't had a chance to play it. I've seen some people on stream play it, so that's my big experience with it. Which hasn't been bad. I've been able to pick up a bit of it, fortunately, through there. But it's one of those things that it's another one that I would like to try. I don't think I would do a quick start for it just because it's one that's a little bigger. But it was definitely one I would like to try sometime. It's definitely on my list, and it looks interesting. The custom dice, as much as I hate custom dice for games sometimes because it's an extra cost that doesn't need to exist, they look or seem interesting.
Yeah.
That's...
I mean, I can understand custom dice to a point.
Yes.
And honestly, the role-playing game that I've been tinkering with since high school, that might be the way to go for my one problem.
Yep, custom dice might be the way.
Because my one problem is I want to have the actual 2-hit chart.
Yeah.
And it's hard to come up with a dice system to really replicate where you're hitting.
Yeah.
So a custom die might be the actual better way to do that.
And I like how even when they're doing these, they're doing things like introducing new races and stuff that you can play, because I think that's a big thing. There's a crap ton of races in Star Wars, and having all these options are very cool. And having a book like this that's just basically an era source book, where it's yes, these races are more notable during this time period, though you could probably still use them in a different time period completely. So I definitely think it's very interesting, and it's kind of cool that they give all this options and giving it all. Let's see here. Yeah, they have 4 new species.
They have one that looks like the Greys.
You can be a clone. The Genosians, who are the clonings. The Camonians. And the Umbran. So I guess one of those was the cloners. One of them... You can play as a clone. Warrior. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I think I'm a clone now.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh,
I think
God.
I'm a clone.
I was going to get started on too. I resisted it.
Real people around.
I resisted it, and you two fell into the trap. That is the second musical cue I managed to resist. I can't remember the first one, but I remember I almost hit a musical cue, and I was like, no! Resist the song deep in your soul that wants to yell out.
I purposely wanted to do that, so...
Well, it was too easy. It was too easy. Too easy. So yeah, I think it's a very cool one that they're doing. It's great that they're doing different eras. There are certain eras that I think I would love to see, and other Star Wars fans would love to see. I never played any of them, but I found the world of the Knights of the Old Republic very interesting. I would love for them to provide some actual material from that era, because that was more like a Jedi versus Sith era still. They were still both they were still both around, actually, So and competing together. So that's a different area. And because I think they've done most of the other eras after that, kinda, in book form. I'm pretty sure, or they're very easy to do.
Right.
But no, it's cool. If you want to do like a Clone Wars type game, or like just use some information from it, hey, they got it. They're coming out with a book for you now, and it's a great expansion to the Star Wars RPG. And this one's one not for any of the three, because it's technically it's one RPG that's three, because I keep forgetting that, and it's really weird. Because Edge of the Empire, and then the ones that the Jedi one and the Rebel one, and I can't remember their titles ever. I just remembered Edge of the Empire is the one where you can be a scoundrel. But
You scoundrel.
Scallywag. No. I just wanted to yell Scallywag there for a second.
Because you're a scallywag.
That is probably partially accurate, but that's besides the point. Yep. So, Rise of the Separatists is coming out soon for your Star Wars games if you want to check it out. So the other thing from Fantasy Flight I did want to mention is they finally put out something for Legend of the Five Rings RPG. I think they've actually have put out something before now. I'm just forgetting that they put it out because...
Didn't they put a book out already?
They might have put out the core book.
Yeah, but this is the beginner box.
Yeah, which is like after it. Definitely after it. I think we were talking about this the other week, now that I'm thinking about it, because my forgetfulness is coming into play. That we were talking about is like, when aren't they coming out with a beginner's box? When the heck is that? Later? What?
Yeah, and now they are.
Yeah, now it is actually out, which is great for you if you want to get started on it.
I have to pause for a few seconds. Go ahead and continue with James. I'll be right back.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I mean, they do get some free downloads for 3 additional folios, they call them, of Crab, Scorpion, and Unicorn. I guess there's only certain clans in the material that they're providing with it that for playing, because I think it's all about the clans, but I don't know enough of the clans. Is there 5? I think there's more than 5. There's just 5.
I think it's just 5. I've played it before, but it was before this like revamp came.
Yeah.
And so honestly, it was pretty confusing, and I didn't really know what I was doing. So I think the beginner box is going to be really helpful, because if people were playing it and they were confused like I was, then they were kind of like put off by playing more, because they're like, am I doing this right? I feel like that was either way too easy for them or way too easy for me. So with the beginner box, I'm sure that'll be helpful.
Well, I'm sure that a beginner box always helps a lot. I think they might have had quick start rules too. I'd have to look up and check, because quick start rules always help, but it's not quite as much as you get in a beginner's box. You know, quick start rule I feel like is testing the waters with something, and it's great that when they put those out, but like getting a full like beginner's box, that's great. That's definitely like introducing you to it now. This actually, I don't know if they did have anything else out yet, because they're talking about pre-orders on the Legend of the Five Rings stuff, so I'm unsure if this did successfully come out first or not. Yeah. Fantasy Flight is hard to understand unless you go to a store and see their stuff. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think maybe it was that certain things were going to stores and you couldn't get them online yet. Because I've noticed that's something that companies do. They send them out to stores yet because they want to support the brick and mortar stores before they do the online. I guess that's just something weird about a lot of these like RPG and board game companies that I like, but it is unusual in comparison to most companies that would go straight online. So
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, I don't think I would have purchased it originally if I couldn't like see it in the store and be like, hey, this looks weird. Let's
okay.
try it.
Yeah. The beta rules were out. That's right. The beta rulebook. So they didn't put out a quick start. They put out a beta, which you can still get for free for the Legend of the Five Rings. Which is like that, except it's probably subject to change. But no, the beginner's box, it's awesome that they have that out now, and hopefully that'll fix a lot of the problems. It'll probably... I think they have custom dice set for it also, which is different than custom dice set for Star Wars, because every RPG that Fantasy Flight has its own custom dice sets. Because that really...
I get you. Yeah.
It's like one of those... And that's why I was a little upset about the Star Wars one, because Fantasy Flight does it for all of their games. I still remember the card game. That's all I have to say about it. I still remember the Legend of the Five Rings, the card game, back in the day. I never played it, but I remember. So, Legend of Cards Rates, the beginner's box is out now. You can still check out you can still find the beta rules on DriveThruRPG. But if you want to test out the game for yourself, it's $40 for the beginner's box. You can get the crab, scorpion, and unicorn folios downloaded. Let me just check. Oh yeah, you get it for free. You get it for free, so you can just... There's links that they provide. You can just click on them, get them right away. And a free follow-up adventure, too, to what they provide in the beginner's box. A 38-page beginner's game called In the Palace of the Emerald Champion. Which, that's a great thing, that they're just like, hey, here's an extra adventure. Knock yourselves out. I feel like maybe they could have just provided that material in the actual box, but at least they're providing something for free as a supplement if they didn't put it in the box, which they totally probably should have. I would have not complained if all of that stuff was in the beginner's box, because it would have been more material in there and it would have felt like I was getting my money's worth. I feel like this weird sense now that if I would purchase that and then use the free stuff, it'd be like, did I get my money's worth originally? This is just a bonus? I don't know.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling, just because of the unusual situation. So, it's Fantasy Flight games. They're no Steve Jackson games, but I think they're trying to be. They're trying their damnedest. God. Is that a terrible thing to say? I don't know, actually, because...
Let's just say it is and call it a day.
So...
I mean, Steve Jackson Games is doing well. ... But they also come out with a lot of stuff they don't need to.
Yeah, they come up with a lot of butt kiss. A lot of just terrible junk. Don't readjust that. No, that's also bad. What are you doing? You stick. I forgot to show the image of it now. I was going to probably throw it up. Oh, yeah, we were talking about how the beginner's box, they provide free downloads. Already.
Oh, nice.
Already?
Well, I think it's... They provide free that's probably not the right word for it. Not already. They provide free portfolios for other clans, plus a follow-up adventure. And I was saying how maybe that stuff should have been in your original box that I spent $40 on, but whatever.
It is strange that, already coming out with extra material that could have been
in the
just
box.
Included in the box.
Yeah.
Especially since it's free.
Yeah. It's free material. You could have just had it in the box. I would have loved it. Okay, so maybe they wanted to print less stuff because that would have been printed books. So they saved some money by doing this.
That's possible, or maybe they just really wanted to get it out and those weren't quite ready yet.
Yeah, and then so they sent to the printers because that does take time, and then they got these ready afterwards. That could be another reason too. I don't have to look at the worst side of life.
They could come out with a beginner's box too.
Where they include the other clans and the follow-up adventure. Because the free follow-up adventure they also have, that's like 38 pages. That's quite a lot for a follow-up adventure. It's a pretty decent-sized thing.
Or maybe the other thing could be, yeah, they were trying to save money and also save the person buying the box, that they're not going to have to charge them a little more extra for more printed material.
I don't think they could have gotten away with a higher price is the thing.
That's what I'm saying, though, is...
So...
Maybe that's why they did it that way, too, because they didn't want to charge any more, and...
I just feel like I want to be a little cynical and be like, maybe they just wanted to save money on their own end, and they're just giving you less stuff in the box, but they give you free bonus stuff that are like, hey, you can find this, you can get it yourself for extras.
I mean, yes, that could be, but considering the box has 1 specialty dice, which those aren't cheap.
Oh my god, the specialty dice. I was talking about that with James, and it's like, god damn it, they have more specialty dice.
But those aren't cheap. And then the maps there are decently done. Though, those are probably not that cheap either. So, considering everything you are getting for the price isn't bad, and if they had more printed material, they probably would need to charge more to be making a decent profit. So maybe that's why they did that, is to, okay, we don't want to charge you like $50 for a beginner's box, so we're going to keep the price down a little bit more, and then just give you some free material you can download.
Maybe. I feel like both points are very good, and I feel like maybe the truth is actually somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm surprised they didn't do, which I would have thought of, would be maybe that you could either buy the additional material if you didn't buy the beginner's box, or have a free promo code in it.
That's true.
To get the download. You know what I mean? So they could have printed out the stuff and charged like maybe like a few bucks more if you want to buy the extra stuff, or if you buy the beginner's box, you can
get a free promo of it.
Free promo download of it.
Yeah,
that'd be a way also to make sense.
I don't know. I think it's okay regardless. I mean, it's not the worst combination of things regardless. Even if it goes maximum cynical, or if it's all the way on Joe's side, or if it's just somewhere in the middle. It looks like a fine product, and it's probably a great way to learn the rules, because beginner boxes always do very well at that, and they help you out when, as James said, the rules when he was looking at I think the original version of the Legend of Five Rings RPG, not great. So let's hope that I'm gonna guess they probably are using a system at least vaguely similar to their Star Wars one, which means I would have an idea about it. Because it sounds like, just kind of like Modiphius does 2D20 systems, I think they have their own way of doing things, and they make RPGs that are just different iterations with some changes in the basic rules to make it different. They use the White Wolf model, which not all White Wolf games were interconnected. Aberrant was certainly not connected to World of Darkness games at all, but it used the same basic D20 system. I don't think any of the Trinity system was. But alright, and I have one last topic we're going to handle today to finish us up before we go on to our brief Kickstarter quarters. I want to talk about a Wraith. Just a little bit. So, a Wraith is an interesting game because it's best described as it's from WizKids, so thanks WizKids for this one. Like Twister meets Cthulhu. Yeah. I mean, they don't say a lot about the game, is the first thing I'm going to say about it. I've seen some images of it. I've read a little bit about it. I think they provide the PDF of the rules. Let me just check here, because I think WizKids is pretty good about the PDFs. I was just setting up the images so everybody at home can see what it looks like. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. Yeah, there's the download rules. Yay! Thanks, WizKids. Thanks. So you gather in teams of 2. One is the cultist and the other is the Great Old One. The cultist assists the Great Old One to attempt to summon them to our plane. To do so, the cultist instructs the deity with great veneration to place its appendages on top of Arkham landmark vocations to complete a specific pattern. So it looks like you place locations out as like the twister board almost.
Yeah, I'm looking at pictures of it. You do. It looks like it's a 4. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a 5x4 twister board.
And it's for 4 to 6 players. So there's only going to be 3 people on each. But then it's going to be like you're doing it in teams of 2. So it's like 3 people are going to be doing the twisting and could court themselves into these impossible patterns in order to get themselves summoned. And then the other is just like letting them know what to do. This is weird. Is this as weird as I think it is as like a thing?
I think it's rather strange.
Yeah. They don't have a lot of other information about it at this point in time. And then that in and of itself is like, oh, why did we need Twister meets Cthulhu?
Twistulu.
I know you keep saying Twistulu. That's fine. But it's still...
Why don't you need
Twister
still, meets Cthulhu?
It's still really weird. Yeah, I like it's like... Because the thing is, it's not like a board the same way as you would have with, let's say, a Twister board, which is just one sheet. It's actually 20 cards that you lay out, like, in a grouping on their own of a 5x4. So won't those possibly slide? Which will cause more problems?
Well, they might be rubberized on the backs.
Maybe. I mean...
But think about this. By doing the fact that it's maybe you can switch up how it's laid out for different play.
That's true.
That might be the purpose of it, is that you can have different games. It's not always the same game every time.
Okay.
Which then gives more playability.
Yeah. And I guess there's, like, it looks as if, like, there's cards which seem to represent whatever Great Old One you are that gives you special abilities, which is kind of interesting. Like, Balkrug is you may rest other parts of your body on the ground. I guess that's helpful. The rules won't download for me. I've tried to click on it multiple times, but WizKids is not being helpful.
I'll try to go to WizKids' site and see if I can get it.
Yeah. God. What? Sometimes you see some of these things, and WizKids I've seen has done a couple of dexterity games with like SEAL Team Flicks lately, and then this one. And I guess dexterity games are a group that we don't see as many of.
And it's something that we don't really play that often either.
Well, yes, because you can really only play them in real life. You can't have like an online version. You can't do tabletop similar for them, and you can't be out like in a diner or
definitely not this one.
Or like even possibly a game store. I don't think would be great for this one. Maybe like the SEAL Team Flicks, you could maybe do in a game store, but this one certainly no. So it's very restrictive, and I think that's one of the reasons we don't see a billion dexterity games.
Could you post the link that you found the download for me, just so I can try to get to it quicker?
I will put it into chat here.
Okay.
The Twitch chat.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
That'll make it easier to find.
Nothing. It's not working for me either.
No, I don't know. I don't think it's working right now. So we're just not gonna worry about it. It's not working right now. Sorry, WizKids. We were gonna try to defend you a little bit more, but
your link's not working.
Your links are not working. Also, why?
Why not?
Oh my god. That is probably the reason they would give. Because someone's going to buy it because it's Cthulhuian. It's Eldritch Horror. Even though it's Eldritch Horror Twister.
It's just a twist to the left.
You could just have Eldritch Horror themed Twister and it would just be as good. Yes. Anyway. Yeah, that's the last one. I don't know what else to say. Do you guys have anything else? I'm like befuddled at what else I could say about this one.
Nope.
I'm good.
That's great. At least one of us are. So yeah, it's available now if you really, really want to get it. If you like games like that, more
buy
power.
local. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say more power to you.
The buy local link works.
Oh, at least something does. All right, let's move on. We're going to move on to our regular segments because we do have a couple of regular segments that we usually go over. Kickstarter Corner, Our Week in Tabletop, and Consult the Table. We're going to do Kickstarter Corner first, quickly and efficiently, and I will provide one that I found. So, I am going to talk to you about, I don't know why this hasn't been working as well for trying to, like, get these images up from the one site here. Because one site's being weird that I normally use for these kind of things. For at least images and stuff. Dominia Magica. As I'm saying it relatively incorrectly, I'm sure. And as I do with most things, I say them incorrectly. So, I want to talk about this one because it's... I usually talk about the anime RPGs, and this is a literal magical girl RPG. So I think that's why it was kind of interesting, because normally when you do an anime RPG, they're very generic. And I'm going to put the link in the chat here, too. Twitch chat. They're fairly generic. You know, you kind of like just like, oh, here is, you know, your generic anime kind of thing. And this is... I've seen a couple specific ones, but I don't think I've ever seen a specifically, like, magical girl one. That's why it's unique. So it is funded. It's reached about 250% of what it was going for. 19 days to go. Good on it. For $25, you get a PDF of it. For $50, you get the hardcover. And for $65, they give you a pad of character sheets. And I think $100, you get 2 books. So then it's like they get you a few extra things. They have a very cute little, like, chibi art style that they're showing off here, which I'm not sure how much of it is going to be in the books. So they're taking on the role of you're, like, a school student, of course, because it always is. But they specifically don't give a specific age. You could do elementary, middle, or high school, depending on the scenario you want to do. And, you know, you're the next generation of magical girls. It's pretty simple about that, you know. I mean, it's like one of those things that you can't get beyond. And they are trying to take influence all the way back to the 1950s, where it started up. You know, they're taking a lot of influence over the years. They've dual-sided character sheets, one for your character and one for your magical girl persona, which actually I think is a very unique thing when it comes to anime-style role-playing games and role-playing games like this, that you actually do have 2 character personas that are different, that each side is unique. And I think that's one of the really cool aspects about this that I saw that I thought was very neat, to make it its own unique thing. And I got other little weird little things to put it together. And they have some stretch goals that they've been funding. They funded it. Let me see here. They've got additional settings, full color printing. They got to additional art, some fancy bindings, another additional setting, and even more art. And they still have one of the ones that they haven't done is an interesting genre which I have seen before, which is mecha robots and magical girls. And that's the next one. So I'm saying people fund that one because those are really weird. And, like, the weird magical girl settings are what makes some very interesting animes. Ones that hide the... Well, magical girl animes, mixed bag, I'm going to say. But ones that hide it with other genres are always interesting, too.
I just have to point out the cootie catcher.
Yeah, I kind of saw that they're going to use that something like that.
I haven't seen one of those in elementary school.
Look,
the weird folded paper.
Yeah, the weird.
I don't know what they're actually called.
I don't know either. But I like the fact that they're like. Well, it's like when people use like playing cards and other unique things for a role-playing game. Good on them for like coming up with something that fits the school idea.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. It does fit, that genre. It's just I've never seen one in a game like that.
Yeah, it has been quite a while.
So definitely interesting.
Yeah, and they have like a dark energy circle or something that keeps track of something. I guess when you're going against your big bad villain, to see how much they've done whatever kind of world corruption you're doing, to help you organically fight the end boss, which I guess is very, very like traditional, I guess, magical girl sort of kind of thing. I don't think they do a lot of that nowadays because anime series is usually are more like 12 episodes, 20 like a half like 2 seasons, like 25 if you're like 25, 26 if you're lucky. So they don't usually have time to establish and have a lot of those like traditional I wouldn't call them filler episodes, but like fluff episodes of stuff. So I guess they're going much more classic style that way for storytelling. But I'm sure you could do more modern storytelling. So you could do something more like a dark magical girl with this setting like Madoka Magica, which is a terrible and dark magical girl setting. And then if you want some depression in your life, go ahead and see it. It's not bad. It's a good series, but it's, it's taking a genre and throwing up on its head. You could probably use this for that too. So I think that's one of the wonderful things about something like this. You're not as restricted. And if you're capturing the anime style that you want, you can find it. Yeah.
Right.
So you could bring in your because I think there are some like horror based and like other various types of like again the mecha magical girls is something that actually does weirdly enough exist too. I can't remember any series off the top of my head, but let's move on though to our week in gaming. That's where we talk about what we did in gaming this week. James, what did you do tabletop wise in gaming this week? Anything interesting?
I played a game called Bora Bora and a game called Formula D.
I've heard of Formula D.
I've seen that on tabletop.
Yeah, it's actually a lot of fun because I thought it was just gonna be like a generic racing game, but they use like different kinds of dice to denote how you move, and there's different penalties if you don't slow down the appropriate amount. And so I thought it was gonna be boring, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, cool. How's Bora Bora?
Well, I won, so that was good. But it seemed like it had a lot of fiddly bits. So if I wasn't devoting my full attention to playing the game, I would find myself just being distracted and playing with all little shits that they provide. So
it has too much.
Never.
It has too many things that you want to fiddle with and like see what they are. I can understand that from cool. So Joe, how about you?
Well, last weekend, unfortunately, you weren't able to join, but Colin, Hannah, and I played Gubs.
Oh, Gubs is a good one. That's a simple game.
I haven't played that in a long time. I ended up winning, I think, both rounds we did.
No, you won one and we tied one.
Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry. I won one and tied one.
Jeez, trying to take over and like pretend that you won all of them.
I couldn't remember.
I just wanted to work on you now.
That's what. Actually, we had was it a 3-way tie in the first one then? Yeah, it was a 3-way tie on the first one.
I think that I remember that was possible, like to get ties, but I remember it wasn't the easiest thing to get ties either.
Well, it's because the game ends when you spell out gums.
Mm-hmm.
Or gum. There's 3 cards in there that come out during play. That once gub is spelled, whoever has the most gubs in play wins, and we all happen to have the same amount of gubs.
Mm. Yeah.
The same amount of gubs. Thank you for saying that.
We needed someone to say it.
Yeah. And then what did we play Sunday?
We did. Give me a second here to remember, because I can remember what we did on Sunday. It was...
I know we did...
Bang!
Something. Bang, that's right.
Yep. It's been a while since I played Bang, and I kind of...
That was my first time playing Bang.
Been a while since I played Bang, because I think one friend Cindy owns it, and, you know, I had not had a chance to in quite a while. So it was good to play it again.
Yes,
yeah.
That one turned out very interesting.
Yes. Yep. I think it was... We needed more players. 4 players wasn't bad, but I feel like 5 or 6 players might have been the good medium, because I think you can play from 4 to 7.
Yeah, and then you don't have everyone targeting the sheriff.
Yes, then you have a deputy. You know, because there's good reason for other people for you to target other people. You know, because again, you know, like maybe you really want to target the sheriff and you're not getting anything, so you have to, and you know. You want to fight your way through the person to your next to you because of range to get to the sheriff. That could be an outlaw that would face that. That's just like, you know, I'm willing to sacrifice this person to do it.
Also, the outlaws, if they kill off the renegade, they have a much better chance of not having to worry about losing.
Yeah. But then, like, when you get to 5 players, then you get a deputy, too.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, with 4 people, you know, it's like, well, the people you really want to kill the sheriff. The renegade really wants to kill the outlaws, and then the sheriff. That's really hard.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the outlaws just care about really killing the sheriff. But if they get rid of the renegade, goes the second way of losing.
Yep. So it's definitely very, very interesting.
And then, of course, go ahead.
Yeah, well, you can go ahead.
I was going to say, and then, of course, we had Thursday's game.
Yep. You guys retreated, and it was wonderful.
Well, we were trying to be cautious, and it didn't work out.
Didn't work out as a strong word. I think it worked out, but...
Well, we were trying to also maybe broker peace. That definitely did not work out.
No.
And, you know, in hindsight, with that not working out, we probably should have investigated the rest of the area and took anything out that we could have that might now bite us in the butt later.
Yeah, I mean, you got some ideas of what was there, but the fact is, like, you guys... Oh, Jesus. If I lean back, it goes dark because it's the window in my back because my upper light is not working. That's so weird. That's so weird. But
well,
like,
I think it's because the auto adjusts on the camera.
Yeah, the auto adjust. It likes to brighten that entire thing back there, and then like if I lean back, it's like, oh, okay. Anyway, there could have been a lot more for you to learn and do, and like other influence, and I'm gonna have to figure out how uniquely you have influenced things at this point in time. I don't think it'll be like critical repercussions.
I mean, we got rid of the 2 elders. ...
No. You got rid of a shaman.
A shaman and a warrior elder.
Just a general elite pygmy.
Oh, okay. Well, we did that.
There are a lot more of those. That's technically those guys are random encounters you could run into.
And we also learned about Warbringers.
Yes. They are
And
not
then
a random encounter you can meet right now. Fortunately. Later on, they will be. But
They're
you'll be
really
higher
nasty.
level. They are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now we also pissed them off.
Yes.
Well, why'd you guys do that?
Well,
Being silly.
We didn't want to. We tried to make peace. They threatened war, and we killed them.
no.
Well,
Basically,
killed 2 of them.
basically, Shaman was like, this is unusual. Go get the Warbringers. Because Tim had comprehend languages. And he said, they said something about Warbringers. We should take them out in common.
Yes. Well, we assumed, oh god, they're bringing somebody like Warbringers. That's probably not a good thing. So we might have been able to pull ourselves out of that. Great.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to say probably not, because Warbringers are just a little bit, you saw how they act.
Aggressive?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
I also had Bastion Frontier on Wednesday, which it was the finale. We had the most anticlimactic final battle ever. We fought an Alhoun who tried to disintegrate one of our characters, which would have killed them definitely, because it was the character with the least hit points. He made his save to avoid it completely. It's fine. And then it dominated another character, but by the time it dominated that character, we had already done it like a crap ton of damage. So then we just... And I had to do nothing. I attempted to do something on my turn. It failed because I was trying to use a scroll that was higher level than I could do. And the spellcasters just unleashed everything and murdered the crap out of it. So I was like, well, my work here is done. And then we had a second anticlimactic battle because what had happened was someone that was under the mind control of the said Alhoun was left outside to attack everybody that was out there so as to keep us either like sort of sealed within / allow that person to free the Alhoun after we're dead. He got held personed 3 seconds in. So... Wow. Double anticlimactic. But we had a current epilogue. We could always revisit the characters. We kind of have an idea where they are in life. So that's good. Mine continues to be insane. I loved that character, but that was the character that my backstory continually evolved because I would just, whenever something would come up, I would come up with some kind of crazy shit story that related to that my character had experienced in the past. And it's like, for a while there, they're like, what? And they were like, Tools, that's so you. Yep. I think that's pretty much it for our week in tabletop then. Cool.
I think so.
Alright, let's move on to our final segment to round out today then, which is our segment, Consult the Table. This is where you, either now or somewhere in the future watching this, can consult us by asking a question in chat. You can do it on the Twitter chat if you are live with us right now, or just visiting and can't stay the entire time. You can leave a question for us to answer. If you're checking this out on the YouTube VODs, you can leave it in the comments of that one. We have an email, discussingtabletop@yahoo.com, which very well you could message us there. You can message any of us, Joe, me, Worm, on our Twitter, that can let us know if you have a question there. On my Discord, you can kind of message, say, hey, how about this? Check in, try to figure it out, all that stuff. So, yep. All right, looks like we're continuing, at least this week, no questions, so we will move on to saying our goodbyes. James, is there anything you want to kind of pimp out, place that people find you, that you'd want them to look around for you online or anything like that?
Please don't look for me. You will never find me. I am invisible and a ghost and a ninja.
You are the
Hence
shadow.
why we can't see him on camera.
Yeah, you are the shadow. You are the knight. You are James Man.
He's a Shadow Knight?
Sure.
Yeah.
That actually sounds like it'd be pretty cool, but...
Yeah. I think we just made James cooler than he is.
Yeah, it's
That's
fine.
impossible, good sir.
So, anything you'd want to, like, pimp out support then?
No. Watch Tantus. He's awesome. Also, watch the Overwatch League. The World Cup is on.
The Overwatch League is probably one of the better competition leagues that they've had, so I can definitely get behind that. It's definitely one of the more interesting ones that they've taken it. Joe, how about you?
I pimp you as usual, sir.
Well, thank you. I
Consider
felt like...
consider yourself pimped.
Yes. Yep. I've considered myself pimped then. All right.
That's all I got.
As for myself, I'm of course Tantus Naravan Dracovin. You can find me here daily. You can find me tomorrow morning where, because I ended up a little later today and played a Hat in Time, I'll be playing Stellaris Conquering Empire, where I am playing enslaving the universe, one empire at a time, while worrying about some kind of galactic crisis, which seemed bugged. So if they continue to be bugged, hurrah. They're like in a corner and not murdering anything, and I'm kind of surprised. I would have figured they would have murdered stuff, but meh. And then I'll be happy tomorrow evening for Sundays at the Tabletop. We're still doing that for now. Those schedules might change, but we'll let you know about that, where Joe and I and some guests will play a tabletop game. I'll be back next week for Discussing Tabletop with Joe, possible other guests. Hopefully Worm will return. You can find us on, me and Joe, at least on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Madness of the Land. Remember to check out all my links below, especially my YouTube, to see all the VODs and stuff there. Discord and Twitter if you want to contact me, and Patreon if you want to show some extra support and get some rewards out of it. You could always just also, if you want just some emotes, you could always subscribe here too. Because I'm going to throw some emotes up here in chat. I don't use them enough. Boop, boop, boop. There you go.
Emote for me. Emote for me.
Well, I should have put up Streamcat in chat when Damien showed up, because that was Streamcat. But still. Anyway, thank you for joining, everyone. And we'll see you, me and Joe will see you next week. So, bye.
Bye.